Hi there, welcome back to my channel. A little bit about everything. I gotta make some room in the workshop, and there's a machine I built a while back that I used only once. It was to make mortisen joints, and I saw this on YouTube. The principle was simple. It's a tracer. Like if you put something through mechanical mechanically, you can trace something and double it in size and scale it up or scale it down or whatever. Or something, a copying machine. They're easy to make. All you need is a mirror plane, right? If I have a same thing as you would see like on Fusion 360. If you want to mirror an object, you just need the plane reference, and it's going to copy the same thing on the other side, right? But you can do that mechanically, right? So I built this. I don't know if it's in the frame or not. A little bit about the machine, okay? There's a wooden stand underneath. Right, this is the stand from here to here. And I put a plywood table here. Okay? And these are tracks for drawer tracks. They're heavy duty door tracks. They're ball bearing, as a matter of fact, right? See? That whole table moves. Okay? And what I would do, I had various adjustments that I could adjust this table to fit piece of lumber, fit a piece of lumber right here, and I would put a router here, and clamp it down. Alright, so you would put your router in there and clamp it down, and I had an extension bit of I think it's 2 inches and by ½ inch router bits, and it would stick out here. So all what I'd have to do is, imagine the bit is there, and if you bring in the table, you're making a plunge cut. Okay? So I would clamp down my lumber here. I could clamp it this way, I could clamp it under here, up to here. It was multi clamping, right? I made some holes in there so I could clamp stuff too. And what I would do is this board here, as you can tell, I have multiple scales on here. Okay, what did I write down here? It's been so long. 12-inch rotor OD inches above table. Okay, so this would be above table. This aluminium rod here was the tracing thing, and on here what I would have is this unit here. If you follow around that, you would get this. The router would eat that and leave that, make this this joint. And if I brought this tracer, which was a ½ inch, which was just going in here and would just fit in here, right? That would provide me with the female portion to put this in. Okay. And the principle of it, every joint here, 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 and here, and all had a ball bearing in it. There were ball bearings in there. Okay. So it's a tracer, right? So if I bring this up here, see how that moves? Right? I can go up and down with it, left to right, but that creates movement where the router is. And if you see here, there I've made my cut from side to side. So there I made my female portion of it. Now when I brought it up here to make the male portion of it, I would put a bearing at the end of the shaft. If I can get it in there. There. I would bring this up here and it would ride along. You have to flip this jig over to bring that over here. Right? So it would just ride along and create the male portion of it, which is this. That ball bearing would go around this block here and create this. But there's no more room for it. And it's gotta go. Now if somebody wants some dimensions on there, I used a Porter cable 1/2-inch shank drive rotor, right? It's pretty heavy duty. You can't do it with a little 1/4-inch, some of the lighter duty stuff, right? And if you want an idea of how big this is, table's 23 inches by 23. And this thing here, the clamp table, is 14 by 23. This was 5 inches wide by 23. The material I used was 3/4 inch plywood for rigidity, and these were placed at 7 inch and at 15 inch. I got a spacing of 1.5 inch between these two surfaces, and that was to allow the clamp to get to wiggle around in there. And I'll give you an idea of the clamp. I was using these Bessie clamps, okay? They would just go in here. I'm going to put the camera down. Okay, so they would just slide underneath here. I could bring it over and put my lumber there and just clamp it down, and then run the router through it, right? This thing worked, and it was made out of scrap stuff I had lying around, but I have no use for it. Oh, this scale is correct. It's 12 inches. And these are 7 inches high. These pieces I put on here. And then my tracer tables were 1/4 inch wide. Okay. This I made so I could actually get some adjustment out of it. Like I said earlier, if you undo this, oops, if you undo this, right, it's just a wing nut that was on there. I believe that this comes out. Oh, the wood must have swollen up on it. Right. Do this one. And I could switch table lengths. Or bar lengths. I'm gonna get a pry bar. And it's on there. There. Oh, rust buildup. That's what's happening. Probably the same thing over here. Right. So if I take this off, this should be able to come out of this piece and readjust it wherever I want. I had further adjustment here. I had 1/8 increments and I had 1/4 inch increments. So that would provide me with I really, there was nothing in mind. It's not a vernier scale or anything. It just provided me with a means of scaling it. Like, the more adjustment you have, the more things you can do with something. And these were 1 inch and 1/16. So if I wanted something between 1/8, in the middle of 1/8, I had 16 increments. And if I wanted 1 inch increments, I had 1 inch and 1/4 increments I could use. I had provided a stop here so I wouldn't crash the table into the router bit and start wiggling stuff around here and creating havoc. You know, so I had stops on it. It was a well-engineered machine. I'm sad to see it go. I just don't have any room for it. Put a lot of time into that. It was 41 high. The stick, the adjustment stick, was 24.5 high, and I put my pivots at 5 inch from the bottom and 1 inch from there, which is a 4 inch pivot. 4 inch to mechanical leverage was 4 inch to 19.5. So that would give me if I put 100 pounds, well, just do cross multiplication, right? 100 pounds with an advantage of 19 to 4. That was the advantage I had, or force I could apply. 10 pounds was multiplied 5 times, would be 50 pounds of pressure pushing into the plunger or the router bit. And this contraption here, or the principle behind this, from there to there, what determines this is the distance from here to here in reference to there to there. Okay, now one thing about this is it's also equally important the distance from here to here be equal. So if I had this is where I sort of made a boo-boo, but it still worked. I got it to work. If I have 12 inches here, I should have 12 inches there, 12 inches there, and 12 inches across, and 12 inches from there to my tracer. So there, whatever I put up here doesn't have to be scaled to get a certain result on the table. But I had to scale it because there was this difference in arm length. So it should have been made a little bit bigger to accommodate the same length here would be here and there to there. But like as you can tell, this I was getting half-inch wide joints. Okay. There's a ½ inch. But yet, up here, I was tracing something that was 15/16. An odd number, huh? You'd think it would be 1-to-1, but it wasn't. Because of this error. This distance should be the same length as that one, and that one to that one. You know what I mean? So I had to scale it. That took me a little tinkering around to figure out how to scale this, right? But it's all cross multiplication and trial and error. I make this to be adjustable so I could actually, when I clamp this here, if I wanted to make my mortisen joint like offset to one side, I could, because I could provide adjustment for it here. It's just nuts and bolts. You loosen up and it gives you room to do it. It's a Pentarouter. That's what it's called, a Pentarouter. So, say goodbye to the Pentarouter. See, this is just on there, and I put the bearing in like this, and when you flip it over, right, it was just recessed in there, and it's held on by a locking nut.